As All Hallows Eve draws closer, an ethereal wind drifts through the vale and across the worlds of Larp, carrying whispers of dark tales and secrets untold from their worlds into yours. These are Larp Tales from the Beyond. As many of you know, I have researched the paranormal for years, if not close to a decade or more. But one thing that never ceases to amaze me is the ghosts that can live right under our noses. The following are such tales from my home state of Maine. Kicking off these tales, we have the story of Jim Cullen from my own stomping grounds of northern Maine. Jim Cullen was a giant of a man who came south from New Brunswick to Maine in order to work in the logging camps. He was known in the area for petty theft of clothes off clotheslines, food from root cellars in order to feed and clothe his family. However, when he stole a pair of boots and later murdered the sheriff with an axe, he was arrested for his crimes, and Jim Cullen was taken by cart to Presque Isle to await trial. He never arrived because a group of masked men and surrounded the cart he was being transported on, overpowered the driver, and hauled Jim Cullen off to be lynched. He is buried not far from the local airfields. Now, normally this wouldn't be too much of a ghost story, if not for accounts of a now retired police officer from the PIPD who multiple times a year gets calls out along the road that goes between Presque Isle and Mapleton, and goes right past the airfields near where Jim Cullen is allegedly buried. The calls all speak of a disheveled, wildly bearded man walking in the area, seemingly disoriented by something. The police officer is certain, given the location, that what these people are seeing is the spirit of Jim Cullen. According to legend, a group of teens dared a friend to be lowered into the well in Sabbatus, Maine, on the edge of a cemetery that was said to be haunted. So, sitting atop a rubber tire, the boy was lowered into the well. Several minutes later, they lost sight of him. When they realized that there was no movement on the end of the rope, they pulled him back up, but only to realize that his appearance and behavior had changed drastically. His hair had turned stark white. He was shaking uncontrollably and was incapable of forming coherent sentences. His appearance suggested that he had aged decades in the span of minutes. And his mental state was clearly that of insanity. Insanity that which he never recovered from. And to this day he still resides in the the county mental institution, from where it is said his screams can be heard from the windows. One thing worth mentioning is that this legend from Sabbatus, Maine, bears a striking resemblance to one story associated with one Hoska Castle, a castle in a position with no strategic importance, and the unusual architecture suggests it was meant to keep something in, and what that is said to be a portal to hell. Well, as the castle was beginning construction, the town's prisoners, who were already condemned to die anyway, were taken there and promised pardon if they were lowered into it. The first man to be lowered in with a rope was enveloped by the darkness within seconds. And not more than 30 seconds later, the man began screaming in terror and begged to be brought back up. Only, like the boy in Sabbatus, Maine, allegedly, the young prisoner had aged 30 years with a head of white hair and was babbling incomprehensibly. He was sent to an insane asylum where he died 2 days later. There are many versions of this tale. The consistent theme is a woman, and her name varies depending on the version, was accused of witchcraft by Colonel Jonathan Buck, the founder of Bucksport, Maine. And various accounts of the legend say he did it to cover up an affair with this woman, that she was a witch who cursed his grave. The versions go on and on. But one thing's for certain, they all end the same way. After Colonel Buck's death, his descendants paid for a grander tombstone to mark where he lies, and mysteriously, a stain in the shape of a woman's leg appeared on the stone, despite numerous attempts to remove it and even replace the tombstone. The mark kept returning and remains there to this day. But fear not, for these are but tales from my own world. Just pray that my words are the only things crossing the veil from my world into yours.